Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, we've all been there, right? That feeling in a commercial space, maybe a gym or a bar with screens everywhere, and trying to get the right thing on the right screen. It often turns into this frustrating hunt for one specific remote. Now imagine that, but times 12 TVs in a really busy sports bar. Or maybe across different zones in a fitness center, total headache. So today, we're diving deep into a system built to, well, cut through all that chaos specifically for businesses that use a lot of Roku devices. This isn't just about, losing the pile of remotes. It's more like a whole rethinking of AV control in these kinds of places. So what's really at the heart of this thing and how does it actually make complex stuff seem, well, simple? Okay, let's unpack this.
Exactly. Yeah, our focus today is the WolfPad multiple Roku tablet control system. And it's a really fascinating piece of kit because it zeroes right in on that operational headache you just laid out. Our mission here for this deep dive is really to get under the hood, understand how this system manages that simplicity with complex routing, figure out who really benefits the most, and importantly, look at the kind of surprising engineering approach they took, especially regarding cost. And for you, our listener, the takeaway here is getting a quick but solid insight into a very specialized control solution, one that frankly kind of goes against the grain. We're going to break down how it really puts ease of use first and offers a genuinely cost-effective option in a market that can be, let's face it, super expensive sometimes. It's a neat example of smart design solving a common business problem.
Right, let's really paint that picture of the problem first. So you've got this busy sports bar, maybe a dozen screens, maybe more, scatter around. Kickoff's coming up fast. And every TV needs a different game, maybe a different feed. Or think about a gym trying to get different workout videos or news channels to different areas. The challenge is huge. You've got an employee, maybe a waitress, maybe the manager, scrambling to figure out which Roku is plugged into which TV, then messing with channels, all while people are waiting. Our sources mention places like restaurants, bowling alleys, casinos, even country clubs and sports arenas dealing with this. It sounds like a recipe for disaster, doesn't it?
Right, absolutely is. And what's really fascinating here is how the WolfPad just steps in as this, well, direct and pretty elegant answer to that frustration. It basically promises to completely get rid of the need for all those separate Roku remotes. The whole system management, every Roku, every TV, it all moves onto, and this is the key bit, a tablet of your choice. That's more than just convenience. It's a big operational shift. Centralized, simplified control. So at its core, the WolfPad system controls and routes multiple Roku HDMI signals to multiple TVs, and it's incredibly flexible. It specifically handles up to 16 Rokus, feeding content to as many as 36 TVs. And here's the kicker. In literally any combination, this any in to any out thing is really a key feature. You could have, say, one Roku showing the main game on 8 screens, then another Roku streaming a different sport to maybe 2 other TVs, and a third playing music videos on the rest. It gives businesses huge control over their whole visual setup.
And the best part, like the source says very clearly, is how easy it is to use. This isn't some super complex system you need an IT degree for. It states right there, no programming knowledge is required to set up your system as our interface is intuitive and simple. That must be a massive weight off the shoulders for a bar owner or gym manager. Their focus is customers, right? Not AV tech stuff. Sounds like they really thought about who's actually going to use it. Okay, so with that focus on simplicity, who really gets the most out of a system like this? Who are we picturing having that aha moment, that, my life just got easier moment?
Well, yeah, it's explicitly designed for the non-technical folks in these places. We're talking about the sports bar owners, sure, but also their frontline staff. Waitresses, hostesses, bartenders, maybe even DJs. The goal seems crystal clear. Give complete system control to people without needing any prior tech know-how. They don't want to become AV pros. They just need the right game or news or music on the right screen. Fast, without hassle. It really empowers them.
Right. And here's where it gets, for me, really interesting. The real world impact beyond just the tech. The source mentions something quite telling. The sports bar owner will never be called at home and asked how you control the matrix. That's huge. And maybe even more important, the morale of the employees should improve as it is so easy to operate. Can you talk a bit more about that? Why are those sort of human benefits so critical here? It feels like a direct link between simple tech and a better workplace.
Absolutely. Those points are fundamental to the value proposition. I mean, think about it. An owner getting called at home, that's an interruption. It pulls them away. It signals their business is, well, unnecessarily complicated. Getting rid of that call, that's a huge win. Peace of mind. And for the employees, yeah, struggling with complex tech during a rush. It's incredibly stressful. When a system is just intuitive, they spend less time fumbling, more time actually serving customers. That means better service, less frustration, and yeah, definitely higher morale. It's not just about switching signals. It's about cutting stress, boosting efficiency, letting people focus on their main job without tech headaches. And to make it really concrete for you, let's just walk through how someone actually uses it on the tablet. It's all on one screen. First, you just tap the Roku you want to control. When you do, its button changes visually, maybe it turns gray, something like that, and the name you gave that Roku shows up at the top. Clear indication. It's like picking up one specific remote, but, virtually. Then you look over to the right side of the screen. The TV buttons there show you which TVs are currently getting the signal from the Roku you just picked. Those buttons change too, maybe also turn gray. To connect a different TV to that Roku, you just touch this button, boom, done. It's really that direct, like pointing and clicking. And they've even thought about mistakes, which obviously happen. There's a neat little undo function. If you tap a TV button that's already gray, meaning it's already connected to your selected Roku, that TV just flips back to whatever source it had before. So if you accidentally put the wrong thing on TV 5, one tap fixes it, super simple recovery. And then on the left side of the screen, you've got buttons that look just like a Roku remote. Navigation, play, pause, volume, all that stuff. Controlling whichever Roku you've selected. It really is designed to be straightforward.
That simplicity, that single focus, that's really the key, isn't it? It's not trying to control everything in the building, just the locus. Does that narrow scope actually make it better for the people it's aimed at? Because it avoids all the complexity of those massive universal systems.
Precisely. That singular focus is definitely its strength. Many of those universal systems, they can get overwhelming because they try to do everything for everyone, right?
Huh.
By just concentrating on Roku devices, the WolfPad can offer this really integrated, super intuitive experience. No need for tons of custom programming or a massive learning curve. It delivers maximum value for its target audience by, embracing that simplicity and specificity. It's about doing one job really, really well for the specific people who need it.
Okay, so we've got the problem, the solution, who it helps. Now, let's get under the hood a bit. What exactly comes in the box? If a business buys the WolfPad multiple Roku control system for that $1,250 price, what are the actual physical and digital pieces they get? What makes it work?
Very good question. So for that price, you get several key things. First, there's one unit of their proprietary control code. That's basically the custom software brain, the instructions WolfPad wrote that turn your tablet taps into actual commands. This code talks to a Wolfpack HDMI matrix switch. Now, for anyone less familiar, that switch is like the central traffic cop for your video. It takes all the Roku signals in and decides which TV each one goes out to. Connecting the brain to that traffic cop is a 6-foot male-to-male RS-232 cable. It's a standard serial cable, kind of old school, but super reliable for control systems. Then, a really central piece of hardware. A modified, pre-owned Crestron rack mount controller. Comes with its AC adapter. This is a really interesting part of their whole approach, which we should dig into. You also get up to 16 IR cables, these little infrared emitters like tiny remote control extenders you stick in front of each Roku box to send it commands. And finally, you get access to their cloud-based customizer. That's the online tool you use to set up and configure the system for your specific bar or gym layout.
Okay, and just as important, what isn't in that box? What does the business owner need to already have or buy separately?
Good point. Yeah, the system does not come with the Roku devices themselves. You provide those. It also doesn't include the Wolfpack HDMI matrix, which the video routing hardware. You need to purchase that separately too. And of course, the tablet you want to use for control isn't included either. Also, just a practical note for installation. The control hardware they do provide, that Crestron unit, needs 3 U of space in a standard equipment rack. That's about, 5¼ inches high? So you need that space available.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, especially looking at that $250 price? They mention MSRP and today's price, which sounds deliberate, and that specific mention of a pre-owned Crestron control. How does that play into the value? Is this basically a clever way to make complex AV control affordable, like a smart workaround?
It absolutely is a clever strategy. And yeah, it connects directly to what they call a dramatic lowering of cost. The key, absolutely, is using that pre-owned Crestron control. To give you some context, competing systems doing similar things, they can cost as high as $10,000, maybe even more sometimes. So by finding and repurposing these Crestron controllers, which they describe as legacy Crestron products, American-built and made to last, they're leveraging really robust enterprise-grade hardware, stuff that would normally cost a fortune new. It's not just about saving cash.
It's a way to challenge that established high-cost AV control market. It's smart, delivering premium reliability without that premium price.
That's a huge difference compared to brand new custom systems, but are there any potential downsides to using pre-owned hardware like that? Any worries about how long it'll last or maintenance, or are these Crestron units really built like tanks?
That's a totally fair question anytime you talk about refurbished or pre-owned gear. The company makes a point of saying these legacy Crestron products are American-built and are made to last, which suggests they're pretty confident in their durability. And Crestron, as a brand, is known for building rugged industrial-grade stuff designed for constant use in commercial settings. So by selecting and modifying these, WolfPad is essentially banking on that built-in quality, giving these workhorses a new job with their software. Well, any electronic thing has a lifespan. These aren't like your typical consumer gadgets. The expectation for durability is definitely much higher.
And for flexibility, the source is clear. You can use pretty much any common tablet, your iPad, Fire TV tablet, a Samsung tablet, and an Android tablet. So you're not locked into buying a specific device just to run it. Nice touch.
Okay, that brings us to some practical stuff. Questions you, our listener, might be wondering about, like, okay, what if you have multiple staff members needing to change channels? Can two people use it at the same time without, messing each other up? Yeah, that's a really common operational question for any busy place. The system is primarily designed as a single-user system, particularly when it comes to iPads. Now, they say any number of iPads can be put on the system so multiple staff can have the app. But if one person is actively making changes, another person trying to do something simultaneously could interfere. However, they did build in a practical solution. You can actually see on the remote iPad what the first user is doing. So you know not to jump in until they're finished. It's more about transparency and coordination between staff rather than complex real-time multi-user locking, which would add a lot of complexity they're trying to avoid.
That's an interesting trade-off then. It keeps things simple and cheap, but sacrifices that true simultaneous multi-user control. Do you think that's ever a major problem for the kinds of places using it, or is that transparency usually good enough?
For most of the places, they seem to be targeting, sports bars, smaller gyms, clubs. That transparency feature is probably sufficient. Usually, the tasks aren't so critical that waiting a few seconds for someone else to finish changing a channel is a huge deal. The alternative, like a true multi-user system with conflict resolution, that would ramp up the complexity and the cost significantly, putting it right back in that $10,000 ballpark they want to undercut. So yeah, it feels like a very deliberate design choice, sticking to that core idea of accessible simplicity.
What about getting it set up initially? How does the custom program actually get onto the tablet, and what info does a business need to give WolfPad?
Okay, for setup, if you have a smaller system, one that fits on a single page on the tablet, the program actually lives inside the CP2E controller, the Crestron box. You install their app on your tablet, and it pulls the program across. If you have a bigger setup, needing multiple pages on the interface, that requires them to load it remotely using their cloud-based customizer tool, which is included. As for the info you need to provide them, it's pretty specific. They need your exact input label numbers, how you've named your HDMI sources going into the matrix switch. And they need the model numbers for your Roku devices so they can program the correct IR, the infrared commands to control them, and getting your tablets themselves configured. The source says you might need to send them in, if you prefer, but they also say if you buy the controller from their website, they can set up your tablets remotely. So you've got options there.
And it really sounds like they've smoothed out the whole buying experience, too. Things like free shipping, 60-day returns, even a free return label, and no restocking fee. That removes a lot of friction. But the really big one, especially today, is no monthly or yearly fees, no license or subscription fees. Wow. That's a huge long-term saving compared to a lot of software solutions, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. That lack of recurring fees is a massive differentiator. So many tech solutions now have ongoing costs baked in. This makes the WolfPad system even more cost-effective over time. And to back it up, they offer a 5-year warranty on the hardware they provide, that pre-owned Crestron controller and the cloud customizer device. That's pretty solid. They also mention a few related products like systems for DirecTV or DSH cable boxes, even a fancier version with a floor plan view. So this isn't just a one-off, but more of a scalable platform they're building.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. What we've deep dived into today is the WolfPad multiple Roku tablet control system. And it really comes across as a clever, genuinely cost-effective, and pretty powerful answer for businesses wrestling with lots of screens and Rokus. It takes what can be a super frustrating, time-sucking task and boils it down to just a few taps on a tablet. Let's staff focus on customers, not remotes.
Yeah, now we connect this to the bigger picture. What this system really represents is this interesting, almost disruptive mix. They're leveraging robust, reliable, pre-owned enterprise hardware, those Crestron boxes, but pairing it with really thoughtfully designed, custom, super simple software. The whole aim seems to be creating this highly specialized solution for a specific business niche, but making it incredibly accessible. It's basically about democratizing complex AV control, making it available without the usual sky-high costs, without needing tech wizards on staff, without complex programming. It's a really smart answer to a common pain point.
And that leaves us with a final thought for you, Chuan. How else could this model be used? This idea of taking proven, durable, maybe older hardware and marrying it with modern, user-friendly, non-technical software. What other complex systems out there, maybe in small businesses or other specialized fields, currently demand expert knowledge or big budgets? Could those be made way more accessible and affordable using this kind of no programming needed philosophy? Could we redefine how we tackle other tech headaches by blending legacy quality with modern simplicity? Something to think about. Thanks for joining us on the